Morning.
Good morning.
Mikel. Are there any fresh injury concerns from the game against Chelsea?
No.
And the players that have been missing out in Kalafiori, Mosquera and Dowman, any chance for this weekend for those?
It might be. So I need to meet now the medical staff. We have a training session now and see if somebody is available for the weekend.
You're not going to tell me who are you?
I cannot tell you because I don't know.
I want to ask you about Victor Gyökeres,
Yeah.
Mikel. Massive goal in midweek. Can you just give us an insight into how he's been behind the scenes, whether he's actually doubted himself and the kind of conversations you've had with him?
No, I haven't seen that. Obviously, he's a very demanding person. He knows the level that we need, and basically, he really wants to fulfill everything that we expect of him. And he's been really trying. He's been very consistent, and I thought that against Chelsea he had a great game and scored the goal that helped us to win the game.
When I spoke to you a couple of weeks ago and asked you about Victor, you said he's going to have to get used to the scrutiny for the next 5.5 years.
Yeah. Well, for the rest of his career, I think when you've done what he's done in the last few years, you just set the standards that everybody expects you to maintain.
Do you think the scrutiny and sometimes the criticism has been fair on him?
I don't know. It's part of the expectations, but it's not only for Victor. It's for every number 9 in the league or in every top club or in every position that you play. Or in my seat, you know, we expect to be really good, really consistent, and to win constantly. And that's what we have to try to do.
This is going to be the 4th game in 10 days. I could reel off a whole lot of other stats about the number of games that you've been playing, but it's also the 3rd of 4 in a row away from home. How big a challenge is that, and do you almost have to think 2, 3, 4 games in advance when you're thinking about your squad and maintaining the fitness of the squad?
Well, in certain things, yes, and especially looking at the opponents and the things that we're going to be able to train or we can replicate in those games. And then, yeah, sometimes ideally we want to plan, okay, for this game we think this play could be better and the load, and some of the times it's just impossible and you have to go game by game. We have more players back now, we have better options, and that's very helpful because obviously we've been giving game time to almost every player.
Because I guess the challenge is for you to try and keep these players happy as well. You always hear these stories when the former Manchester United players talk about Sir Alex Ferguson, and when they're getting rested, in inverted commas, for a game, he says to them, no, I need you for this game, and it makes them feel $1 million. Is that something that you've adopted, that approach?
Well, I don't know the whole context of that, but the first thing is that as a team we prepare the game and we win it. And then when you have rested players or manage the load, it's beautiful because you win. But when the result is different, then it's a bad decision, you shouldn't have done that, it's too much changes, so it's all related to, okay, how we can be performing at the highest level, win, while all those things are happening. That's the ideal scenario, quite tricky.
Talking about tricky, Nottingham Forest and a team managed by Sean Dykes tomorrow. What unique challenges does a team managed by Sean Dykes pose to you?
A lot. A top coach, really good at what he does. You can see straight away the fingerprints in the team, the way they play, the results that they got against some of the big teams as well, how difficult they constantly making you so experienced in the league. So a very tough match.
Last couple for me, Mikel. Manchester City could, of course, cut the gap at the top because they played before you tomorrow. I know your full focus will be on Nottingham Forest, but do you have an eye on that game, given it's so close to your kick-off? And is it difficult to ensure the players are blocked away from what's happening at Old Trafford?
Yeah, we know that we can only focus on what we can do. When the games are earlier, if you have the possibility to see them, you do. If they are later, the same. Nothing changes, but the only focus and the aim is to prepare for a very, very tough match, and we have experienced that over there, and we have to win it.
Just finally, you're fighting on 4 fronts, and I know your focus will always be just on the next game, but just generally, are you smelling a belief that maybe this squad, your players, can achieve something special, maybe something historic this season?
Well, I think we are building very good momentum, and belief comes from performances and a level of consistency that we have shown throughout 32 games already this season. And what we did the other day at Stamford Bridge, it should help us to be very convinced that we have the ability to do that. But the reality is that you have to show it in every game, and there's still so much to happen. But we are glad that we are still alive in the 4 competitions.
Good luck. Thank you. Mid from the Premier League.
Hi, Miguel.
Hi.
Good morning. My colleague here asked you about Jeiukieris. Can I ask you about potentially another striker, Martin Zubimendi? I mean, what a goal against Chelsea. Wonderful goal. And in general, how pleased have you been with Martin's offensive contribution as well?
Well, very happy in the manner that he has settled at the club. When you talk to any member of the staff or player about him, he's a big smile on their face and something very positive for sure coming out their mouths. I think he has earned the respect very, very quickly of everybody here, our supporters, and the league in general, and that's very difficult to do. And he's done it because he's very humble, very focused, incredibly consistent, and on top of that, he's surprising a few people with his ability as well to attack the opposition box.
You carry on leading the league in terms of scoring from set pieces. You've been doing it so well for so long. And when you're doing it so well, what's the biggest challenge of carry on being creative in that department, carry on having this advantage over your opposition?
I think practice, there's not any other secret. I think mastering what you do, the same in many other aspects in the game. You can clearly see the tendency in the league, the amount of the goals and games are decided in that phase of play. It's not only us, it's more any other teams that any time in the history of this league. So constantly adapt and evolve, that's the word.
City ground this weekend, it's a place you struggled at the past. What's the biggest challenge of playing in that stadium, especially now under the version of Schonberg?
Well, and winning away from in the Premier League is extremely tough, and they are a team that they have built over the last few years, and they've done a lot of things right to build a really good team. And we've shown they are different, very, very efficient in what they do, very clear identity, and that's what makes them very dangerous.
Ian, talk to me.
Hi, Mikael, how are you? They're playing second after Man City played the Manchester derby at lunchtime. I mean, it's unlikely, apart from when you play each other, you're going to play at the same time again this season. So do you have to kind of get used to the pressure of either going first or going second?
Well, that's every season is normally the same. As you said, we don't normally play at the same time, only probably in Champions League. That happens more often. But yeah, I mean, that's why more than ever, just focus on what you have to do, the task ahead, and that's it.
You're playing a team tomorrow who are fighting relegation, fighting for their lives. Is that more difficult when you're playing a team that have their ambition is just to stay in the league, whereas if you're playing a team towards the top, their ambition is to sort of get into Europe or win the league? What is more difficult?
I don't know, it depends on the day what the game presents, but obviously when you're in that situation, you certainly want to get out of that, and you might have an extra edge about you. But you want to win, the hunger to win as well, and the motivation and the drive to do that is incredible as well. So every team will handle their emotional part in their way. We have to focus on what we do.
You've got a terrific defensive record. I was at Kenilworth Road not last November, the November before, when he won 4-3. Dex scored in the last seconds of the game. But that was the last time you conceded more than 2 goals in a game in the Premier League. That's unreal. How have you managed to maintain that with all the defensive changes you've had to make?
Well, with the right level of organisation, but especially with the desire that the players showed every day and the commitment that they show to do all the duties that are necessary for us to be a team that it's very difficult to play against and to score against.
Finally, the England manager Thomas Tuchel yesterday said that when he goes to the World Cup in the summer, it's not only about having the most talented players, but players with good social skills that can get on for 6 weeks. If he's looking for players that can get on for 6 weeks, you have to get players that can get on for 9 months. How important is it your team have good social skills?
I fully agree with Thomas. I think it's something incredibly necessary and many times undervalued. And there are players that maybe in terms of minutes they don't have that much impact, but the impact that they have in and around the team to bring everybody together, to create their atmosphere, to support the team and to fulfill different roles, in my opinion, as well, is critical.
So if I had good social skills but couldn't take a corner, I'd still get your team.
Sorry?
If I had good social skills but couldn't take a corner, I'd still get your team.
Unfortunately, there are certain limits and certain standards that have to be hit.
Hi, Mikael.
In the Chelsea game, we brought on Havertz and Gabriel Jesus together. I just found it interesting because you've done it before. I think Kai and Theo playing as two nines together. What do you like when you, I guess, bring on or start two nines together in their kind of different characteristics?
Well, what the game, in my opinion, was demanding as well, because the spaces were opening up, and what we needed from that position as well, somebody that could arrive in the box, could throw the opposition half, if they were to start even more aggressive as well, somebody that in direct play as well could be very, very efficient. And we have combinations, the players that can alter positions as well, the chemistry between them, and yeah, another weapon that we have there.
Those combinations you want to keep kind of trying throughout the second half of the season?
Yes, and especially with certain games that we're going to have in the next weeks as well, to have these options, especially against certain kind of behaviors that we expect from opponents, can be something very interesting.
And to Darmish's point earlier on the 4 games in 10 days and the squad, I was just thinking about Ethan Waneri. He played quite well at Portsmouth. Is he someone who may be able to come back in after playing quite well?
They all have the option to play. We have to see for each game which ones. We have certain limitations, especially in the league, with the numbers that we can bring in the squad, unfortunately. But yeah, everybody has to be in contention.
Tom, Reid?
Hi, Mikel. Marshall, a bit of a random one today. You meticulously plan for everything in every single game, and I just want to know what surprised you most this season about your team?
I don't know. Probably the capacity to adapt to certain unexpected things that happened, and especially players having to play in positions that they haven't played before, not in the same area especially, and how we have adapted to that. I don't know if it's a surprise, because I don't know how they will react, but actually to do it in the manner that they've done it with that attitude is something that I'm very proud of.
It's the most depth you've had, you know, having 2 or even 3 players for each position. You mentioned about the ability for players to play in different roles. Has anything surprised you perhaps about how players have dealt with having more competition or less competition in certain roles?
Very positively, and it's something that we talk from the start of the season. If we want to have any chance of doing that, we have to be there, and I show them, the other clubs, that we have nothing different to that. You look at Chelsea, 2 and 3 and 4, or Man City or Liverpool or any team that has been in that challenge over the years. So this is the nature. We want this. We really have to accept this, because there is no other way. They haven't done it with 14, 15 or 16 players, none of the clubs in the history in the last 10, 15 years. So it's something that we want to be there. We have to do it, and it has to be natural.
Okay, last couple of minutes live. Yeah.
There's been a wider debate this week about offside and VAR. Probably talk about it every week, really, but you might have seen Pep talking about it after the Newcastle game. But just generally, are you happy with the offside rule as it stands and the way the VAR interprets it?
Well, happy depends on the situation that you have to face, really. That's honestly talking. I know they are trying to do everything they can to simplify, to bring as much clarity as possible, and sometimes it's still a very difficult decision to make. So we need to understand that, and know on top of that there is a new possible rule coming up, so we're not going to have any say, so we'll adapt to what is coming.
Are you referring there to what they're calling Wenger's law? The daylight rule?
Yeah.
Are you in favour of that?
Well, they are constantly trying to improve the game and to be, as clear as possible, as consistent as possible. So they are looking at options, and they will decide, and we will adapt.
Would you support that, though?
I don't know. I need to see more detail about that.
Okay, finally we'll go to Phil at the back of the PA.
Hi, Mikel. There was a report of a disagreement between Declan and one of your coaching staff just during the half-time at Chelsea. Just wondering if you could clear that up, and whether there's been a making up between those two.
All sorted, all good.
But when you sort of see that, do you think it just shows how much the guys are really just desperate to win? Is that why you get these sort of disagreements, I guess you'd say?
Yes, and the good thing is that by the time that I find out, the problem was resolved. So that's very good.
Well, good. Right, we'll